Welcome to week 3 of the MamasteFit Postpartum week-by-week update. This is the third part of our 4-part series. So the previous 2 weeks, week 1, lots happening. A lot was going on physically, mentally with you, with baby. Second week, slightly less. Feeling a little bit better. Still a lot. You're still probably wearing diapers at this point. But you may be starting to incorporate a little bit more movement. Baby's got tear ducts. Maybe they're crying a little bit more than they were before. There's a lot happening in week number 2. Week 3, still a lot happening, but slightly less than the previous weeks. You're starting to get your groove. You're starting to figure things out just right before they all change for you next week. But in the 3rd week postpartum, we're still in this early tissue healing phase, but you're probably feeling a little bit better. Maybe you're venturing out to slightly more at this point. And so we're going to break down what you can expect in you physically, what you can expect mentally, and what is going on with your baby, in addition to when should you seek help in this early postpartum phase. I'm also going to break down what type of exercises that you can be incorporating in this early time frame to help support your long-term healing without rushing the process. So week 3 postpartum, what can we expect? So vaginal bleeding should be pretty much like almost gone for a lot of us. It still might be like a little bit of the dark red every once in a while or like that brown color, but it should be minimal where you can wear a pad and still make it through the day. Some of us will still wear diapers at nighttime just because for ease of use. I honestly just wear them every period I have now because they're just so much more comfortable. But you will notice that it's not very heavy. It's like the last few days of your menstrual cycle. It might even be a little bit pink or yellow in color. If you do start incorporating activity and you're noticing now you're having that bright red bleeding again, notice it. Maybe it was because you did too much movement, or you can still have a delayed postpartum, even at 3 weeks postpartum. If you had retained products, so retained placental products are still in there, it can take either some time for your body to expel it, or you may need to go in and be seen. So if you're still noticing bright red bleeding or a lot of that darker red-brown bleeding at this point, I would definitely reach out to your provider just to see and make sure that everything is going okay. This is, again, where your body's not really sore from birth. I feel like our bodies have kind of recovered muscularly wise from birth, where you don't feel like you've been hit by a truck or a minivan any longer. But mentally, this is where if you are going to have some sort of postpartum depression, postpartum anxiety, those mental obstacles might still be there. The first 2 weeks postpartum, the baby blues, very common, where we're just like very overwhelmed, very emotional. Like 1 second you're laughing, 1 second you're crying, just hysterically. Very common in those first 2 weeks postpartum. If that's still present in the 3rd week, it could still be just like a delayed but baby blues within the normal time period. But this would be a time to start reaching out maybe to those mental health resources that we've kind of accumulated, hopefully in the end of pregnancy, to see if maybe there's something else going on. Postpartum is very hard. We have a lot of hormones rushing through our bodies, but also a new job that we're kind of taking on as either mom of 1, 2, 3, or however many. Like that transition could be different every kid. So having some sort of resources, even just like a mom support group in your area, could be really beneficial. In the 3rd week postpartum, because we're starting to feel a little bit better within our body, maybe starting to feel like a little, I'm hesitate to say the word normal, because it does take, I feel like 18 months before you really start feeling like normal. But you feel capable. But you feel much more capable at this point. And so our walks are maybe a little bit longer than they were last week, still monitoring the bleeding, make sure that it's not increasing at all. It should stay pretty much the same or maybe even decrease. And so maybe our walks are a little bit longer, maybe a little bit more frequent. For me in the postpartum timeframe, this is when I was doing like 2 short walks a day. So I would do like 1 in the morning when we woke up, and then 1 later in the evening. And then like on the other day, I would do like 1 longer walk, but again, still monitoring bleeding. There doesn't have to be like a set protocol to you walk 8 times this week and 7 times the next week. Just going for walks and feeling what feels good for you. During this time frame, I was primarily doing a lot of stroller walking, not quite baby wearing walking yet, just because I didn't want the additional load on me. But if you wanted to start baby wearing for your walks, that can be a totally valid option as well, still monitoring them bleeding. In the 3rd week postpartum, we can also begin to incorporate a little bit more exercise type movements, so some really gentle core exercises. With these exercises, the intent is not to shrink our waist or to make things smaller by any means. It's all about reconnection in this time frame. So again, in our early postpartum recovery course, we have some core exercises that we walk you through that are all very supportive and all about just learning how to connect with our core again and to integrate a little bit of arm and leg movement. So exercise-wise, in the 3-week postpartum, it's still a lot of gentle stuff. Diaphragmatic breathing, mobility. Maybe we've got off the bed now with our mobility work. We're on the floor in like a tabletop position. We're incorporating some gentle core exercises that are all in very supportive positions. We're not doing V-ups and like sit-ups and like crunches. Like,
I can't even do those now.
It's all about core stabilization at this point. And in our early postpartum recovery course, we break that down for you. And it is a free course. So it is free. And then we're starting to incorporate a little bit more walk. So we're incorporating a little bit more movement, still monitoring bleeding at this point. So not a whole lot going on workout-wise at this point. But if you are starting to think about what type of workouts you want to do when your bleeding has stopped and you feel ready to return to fitness in a more structured way, go ahead and check out our postpartum fitness programs. And so our postpartum recovery course is going to give you a day-by-day guide starting from really basic movements, helping you reconnect with your body, relearn movement patterns, and help you build step-by-step in a way that we have found to be really successful with our in-person training clients in addition to our online clients. Our postpartum program includes full-length workout videos that you can follow and work out with at the same time, in addition to a self-paced workout. So you can kind of choose your adventure. With it, we have our full-length workouts, which you can divide into 3 parts on your own, or you can join our mini program, which already divides it up for you, which for some folks, they find that is much more accessible to them. I only got 15 minutes to work out. I'm just going to join the mini program. If you know that eventually you're going to want longer workouts, or you can do longer workouts now, or not now, in 4 or 6 weeks, you can check out our full-length workout programs. With our postpartum fitness programs, we also have some sport-specific options as well. And so you can check all of those out on our website at MamasteFit.com, and we'll link down our postpartum programs down below. And you can use code YouTube10 to get 10% off any of our online offerings to include our postpartum fitness programs. But right now is not when we're doing the weights and things. We're just focusing on still gentle movement, reconnection, and starting to incorporate those gentle walks, monitoring bleeding to ensure that it's not increasing. At this point, again, similar to week 1, because we're starting to increase activity, you may begin to notice more pelvic floor heaviness. This is going to be especially true if you're starting to baby wear or holding your baby a little bit more on your feet. And so we'll link our video down below that includes some exercises that you can do if you are feeling any pelvic floor heaviness, which is going to incorporate a lot of back expansion breathing exercises where you're breathing into the back half of your pelvic floor to release some of that tension. So we keep mentioning vaginal bleeding as one thing to look for to say that you're doing too much activity too soon, because it's a really easy thing to kind of notice. But also looking for that pelvic floor heaviness can also be a sign that we're doing too much too soon. But then also, not as commonly known, is you could feel like you have the flu. All of a sudden, you just did a bunch of activity. At the end of the night, you're feeling like you have a fever, you have the chills, like nothing you do like makes you feel warm. And then body aches, just head to toe body aches. And this could be a sign that you are doing too much too soon. But in the moment, you're like, I have an infection. I am sick. Something's wrong. Mastitis, maybe. I don't know what's going on. And I would experience this like 2 or 3 times during my postpartum period, where even at 4 weeks postpartum, I like went for a walk and then I took a long shower where I washed my hair. As soon as I came out, I was like, I'm dying. Something is wrong. And it was because I just did too much too soon. And that could be a sign if at the end of the day you feel like trash, that you have the fever, chills, body aches. That could be a sign you just did too much too soon. And you might not even notice the vaginal bleeding. You might not notice that pelvic floor heaviness, but that is another way that we know, hey, let's just rest tomorrow. In the postpartum, especially this first month, I refer to it as the postpartum bubble. And it was a place that you can just kind of enjoy being. There's no need to rush back to the gym during this early time frame, to rush through any of these rehab type exercises. Just enjoy being in your little bubble, just bonding with your baby, bonding with your older children, and just exist happily here. And don't worry about rushing the process. There's going to be plenty of time to do all of the things after the fact. Just enjoy being right here, right now, and not trying to do all of the things too soon. For baby, though, what is baby doing in week 3 of life? Because we're doing a lot, but babies are doing a lot. Their mind is expanding. Like 1 million neural synapses are forming daily in the baby's brain. So they're more alert every day. You might notice that baby's looking around even in week 3. They're actually noticing their surroundings. They still can only see about 10 inches, so not very far. It's all like fuzzy. past that 10 inches, but they're able to notice that like, oh, things are happening around me, but you are still one, like you and baby are still one. So like they still look for you and be like, okay, I see this person. You might start having more eye contact with baby where they're actually staring at your eyeballs instead of just like your face as a whole, which is super cool. And then they also start to actually snuggle because their body awareness is stronger and they're able to use their bodies more, that like when you hold them, you notice that they actually will snuggle into your body and like nuzzle in. And it's so sweet when they start to do that at week 3. Other things that you might not notice though in week 3 for babies might have some cradle cap. This is when all of the skin stuff kind of really commonly appears for babies, like cradle cap. You might start noticing baby acne, maybe some like skin rashes. And this is just them adjusting to life outside of the womb. They lived in like a swimming pool for 9 months. Our land is dry. The world is dry. So their skin has to adjust, as well as their hormones are like your hormones are still running through their body. And they're kind of like having to slowly like release the hormones. And so acne, cradle cap on their head, skin rashes on their skin. Sometimes people think it's like eczema or like psoriasis or all of these different things happening with their skin. And sometimes it is, but sometimes, most of the time, it's just them adjusting to being dry. It's dry land. You can put lotion or like petroleum jelly on it if you're concerned, especially if your baby was like post-dates and has like that peely skin still, particularly around like the ankles and the wrists. You can. Some people will put breast milk on it as well, but know that if you put nothing on it, it will also be okay. And then one last thing that you might notice is your baby might be a little congested. And when babies are little, they only breathe through their nose. They are nose breathers, which, I mean, as adults, we should all be nose breathers. Be nasal breathers. But babies don't know how to breathe out of their mouth. They have to like consciously be like, because they are just intuitively nasal breathers only. So if they're congested, it's very, very uncomfortable and hard for them. But like all these things are happening in their body that they might be a little congested in this week. So using like humidifiers, like moist air can help with that congestion. Some like lymphatic drainage, just like rubbing their face, like underneath their face can be really, really nice to help with that congestion. So in week 3, you're probably starting to get into the groove of things right before everything changes. For your baby, that's usually how it goes, and that'll continue for the next several years into motherhood. As soon as you kind of get your feet underneath you, your baby changes. And so next week, we're going to discuss what is the first big mental leap that your baby is making that all of the things that you've been doing, you're in your groove, are suddenly going to change. We're going to talk more about the exercises that you can continue to do to help you in this early postpartum phase, and then maybe when you can figure out when you can return to more structured exercise. But thanks for watching week 3 of our 4-week postpartum What to Expect series. If you want more support in the postpartum, check out our fitness programs, check out our education courses, and thanks so much for choosing MamasteFit to support you.